I kind of express in here the anarchist side of planning. So we'll go over who we are, what we do, also some of the example works, the legacy in terms of what it means to be an instructor, because I think what I'm trying to do with that legacy is to leave behind or leave for the future new planners that think differently, and also how my work connects back to FAU, and we use that for pre-development purposes on pilot programs that we have in different cities. So le joba, it's slang for basket case in French. My husband is French, and we try to think that, you know, if we're rule breakers, we can become rule setters. And that's kind of what the artists actually do when they go and move into a space and try to develop something with it. You go into this nitty-gritty place in the city and you try to relive it or revive it with your new rules. So between us, my husband is more of the maker or the builder, and I will go quickly through this progression of work. And I'm more of the visionary, floating around with ideas, and he brings me back down to the ground. And we really try to envision people's ideas into a space, maybe for a day, maybe for a couple of months in these pilot program projects, so that they can realize, can we do that in the future? Do we want to move in that direction in terms of reality? So Beju's background, he's actually an ex-military alpine hunter. That makes him very firm and very grounded, which I'm not. But at the same time, he's an adventurer. He's the type of person who went to India for 3 months on a bicycle trip. And he's the artist and maker of the group. His three faces, for many years he did trompe-l'oeil, which is a form of sculpture with wood. He went then into upcycled furniture pieces, and now he's exploring body language through attitudes. So this is his first wood carving, autodidactic, no schooling whatsoever. Actually, he graduated from his GED about 5 years ago, correct? 4 years ago. Went into more detailed pieces. And then moving forward, he actually started imitating objects and showing these pieces in Paris while he was living in France. Some pretty intrinsic pieces as well here, and understanding and knowledge of the material just through his hands. So moving forward, this was kind of a new theme he entered of conscious versus action, where the wood's the conscious and the metal's the action. So it's an interaction of these materials like pallets and pool ladders that are just thrown away, and we're saying, what do we do with trash? Can we repurpose it into something that's usable? So this is an actual chair, and it works. And here we are with body language. I'm more of the performing artist in the duet, and he has started to create these forms with PVC tubing as well. It's an extension to the recycling form of art, and creating these contemporary interpretations of body language. So some of these businesses, this is actually a business in France that's using this as a prop to bring people into the place. All the kids want to get next to this and take a picture. This is another one called They're Not Alone. And here it's showing at a little piece in West Palm Beach that's starting to pop up as well as an arts area. So a little bit of my background, I'm from Puerto Rico. When I was 17 years old, I went to New York. After New York, I came back for 6 years later, and I met an architect there called Marco Casagrande. And from there, I traveled to all these dots around the world to do work with him for the next 6 years. Then I ended up in Florida in 2004. This was my first real performance. I used to be a singer of a punk band in Puerto Rico. So maybe that's where my anarchism comes in. And this was our motto, who cares wins. So it's a play of words. It's like, if you really care, you win. This was one of the first challenges. It's called The Anarchist Gardener. It's a project by Marco Casagrande. He's from Finland. He came to visit Puerto Rico and made us do a 6-hour walk through this horrendous street and create 10 by 10 Zen gardens in the middle of the avenue. So we were upsetting people in cars, but trying to make a statement about reduction of speeds in this road. So here we are. Going forward, he came back, made us do a test, and sent us out to a really bad side of town, real ghetto. Said you have 24 hours to do performance in this space. Let's see what you can do. So I found this ladder, I put it up there, and I recreated daily habits of the neighborhood, like washing clothes with your hands, putting them on a line, grooming, the bucket's always in the garage. So it's just characteristics of what I found from the place. What I really liked about it was he taught us how to really think on our toes. With no time, what would you do with your gut reaction? And so we also created a movie called Neon Cyan, and a lot of exploration about nature versus construction. And here we are in Taiwan, and this really changed my life. This project, we were doing a city for kids out of cardboard. And on top of that, we also created this circle. First time I welded metal, cut metal, and at the same time had to do promotional material for him. So it's like I had to wear all these hats between construction work, art, doing the business side of things. Learned a lot from this experience. But so far, you've only seen objects or place that has been changed. This is from the movie Metropolis. He tended to tell to us, the city's the head, the people are the hands, and we're the mediators, so we are the heart. And we have to bring these two together to dialogue, so that projects work. So we delved into a project called Trojan Horse, and it was all about process. It was all about citizen engagement and process. So with University of Tankan in Taipei, we built 8 metal horses. For 4 days, they trekked from 8 different points around the city, circulating where City Hall was in the middle. And they would receive messages from the people about what they want to change in that city. What is it that they would like to see, or something they love, or something they want to change. So we went out on a trekking trip, kind of militant in a way, but very worthwhile. When we got there, the mayor made us stand there for 2 hours. He wouldn't receive us. Finally, he came down, and he had to give in and say, okay, I'll deal with this democratic process, which is not the way we operate here. So we're still waiting, and he started reading the messages. And when we analyzed the messages at the end, there was a group of researchers after this was done. The resonating issue was the river pollution, and that became a project. 80% of the messages that were in those horses were about the river pollution. So what this taught us was, can we use art as a tool to engage citizens and find out what the needs or problems are so that the city can have an answer to address? Like, what is that resonating piece that they want to deal with where we can come in and then find solutions for it? And that's how urban acupuncture started happening. So what we try to do is find small urban contextually appropriate projects, then facilitate physical and social change in the city through them. So this is really about pre-development and creating a catalyst for a place. In the exchange, we try to regenerate dormant social networks. So there's old things that used to happen between people in a neighborhood. Maybe those networks are untied. Can we catalyze them into bringing together their assets to work together and then create capital exchange from that? So here are some of the works that we get into. I'm actually just going to go through 2 types, which is the performance pieces and the actual urban acupuncture pieces. So I see city as my stage. I try to do these happenings where I just dress up as certain types of personas and run around the city, and we make films that critique things of the city. And this one is a bee that's lost in West Palm Beach, and just running around with this yellow dress through the alleyways and through the fountain, and it's just really fun. This was also an opening for, and at the same time we also do openings like Red Eye and things like that for cultural councils. In terms of doing the performance pieces together, We work a lot on human relationships as our, I guess, our concept. These are actually in Fat Village. We have performed twice in one of Doug's, the place called The Projects, the main gallery there. Here we're looking at how people are not perfect. You're just striving to be, but that's impossible. So we came up with these two characters. One's very strict, the other one's totally crazy. And we create this bedroom and we create all this, I guess, talk with our bodies so that people can resonate feelings in themselves. And the second one we did was Tohu Bohu, which is also a filmmaker that's looking through one lens of chaos, trying to find his beloved. So these are just explorations on human relationship. In terms of then going to the street with that, the street is, or the city, is a mix of collective relationships. So in a way, the premise is cities made up of people. So we're all just in it together. And I guess through urban planning, that's what I'm trying to explore. What's that human component of urban planning? And how do you address it? So in this case, city is my classroom. This is a project in Italy. It's a very, very small town, 300 families live in it. I was thrown into this for 2 weeks, and they just said, you gotta figure it out. So we go into the place with no knowledge. We find these grandmothers on a stoop that are always outside on the street. We start talking to them. Through conversation, we start hearing stories that resonate. That's the methodology we use to understand what we should engage with people. Just like the Trojan horse did it through written messages, you can do it through dialogue. There's certain questions we ask, and in the end, when we find something that really hits their nerve, we try to make an exchange. And they're pretty wary at the beginning because we offer them a free service of some kind in exchange for their knowledge. And they look at us like, you're crazy because I'm going to have to pay you for something that you're doing for me. And we say, no, we just really want to find your local knowledge and then explore that and show it to the others. And that exchange is like a gift. That is really what makes the social operation happen between people. And we do this in public space so that everybody can see it. So here's just the process. You know, we find our grandmothers, we talk to them with maps. They don't understand our maps. They just keep talking about the bread is bad. We used to have good bread many years ago, but we don't do that anymore. So I'm like, how did you make the bread? Tell me all about the bread. So everybody has these mastras, which are just a table for bread. That's how important bread used to be back in the 40s. And they all have them in their attic. One of them lets me go in her house, that means she opened the door, I'm in. She's trusting me, which is a good thing. And I said, okay, so I'll clean the mastra for you. I'll restore this piece of furniture for you, but you gotta teach me how to make bread in front of the whole town. And let's relive this story and let others know what's going on. So again, they don't understand. This we understand as urban planners, but people don't necessarily understand that. So this is just a gateway to get into the conversation and then understand what is the real things they like to do, don't like to do, what areas they might like to be in, is it uncomfortable or not. Here we are cleaning the mastra. We're doing it in their little plaza right in front of the church. And at the end, she did comply and make the bread with me, you know. And we made a whole movie about this. So after we made the bread, I actually went off drinking in the city. I was like, I'm done, my project's done. She went into her social network and actually called some guy with a restaurant. They baked the bread. When I came back later on, this was already done. At this point, I'm out of the equation. So that means my job was done. It was right, because we created a type of project that can continue on its own. And here they are just having fun with it. So here's Regeneration City did come from it. That was not the only project in that city. There were 10 more projects there, and we just explored different things. We went back to Italy for a second city. I don't know how they let us do that, but they did. Semi. We collected 300 words, one village, to find a collective vision. So when we got there, this is it. Very tiny place. So when you go in here, they know you are new. They know you're not from there. And they start asking you questions. And everybody's like, why are you here? Why is the government paying you to be here? And so we explained. We went and had a little bit of a look back at the history of the place. It was incredible. This is actual cistern from the Roman era. They have, so this is about 2,000 years old, this place. Their issue was there's a tree that's starting to make these walls collapse. So they have to cut it down, but everybody loves the tree. So the citizens hate the city people that are making this decision. City people are like, the citizens don't understand, we gotta teach them what we're doing. So we come in and we say, all right, we're gonna try to create a dialogue here. We know that there's nothing we can do about cutting the tree, it's gonna happen. So we start saying, well, with what's left over of the tree, can we create a public space for the people that already go there? Can we actually do something that's significant for you that you would love? So we sketch a couple of things out. We buy 3 honey dipper spoons because that is it's a big deal of making honey in the place. And it's also kind of a callback to their interaction with their city. These people go to work every day to Rome. It's 1 hour away. So like a beehive, they fly to Rome, gather the honey, and come back home every single day. So we took that behavior as a subconscious piece for the art. We started drilling holes in that tree that they had already cut. We created a podium, and we collected 300 words of what the city meant to them and made a whole totem pole for them of this significance. We also used, Beju carved in some of the most important symbols for that city. And at the end, we did a performance piece to read these words out to them. When they were there, it was incredible because as I read the words, some people would say, oh, that's my word, it's my tree. So it became a place, it became something that was important to them, even though it got cut down. So that's the end of the space. So as an instructor, I keep drilling this down, but I think we need to go into common sense urbanism, which means we need to start thinking about people. And even though we have ways to do metrics, we need to mix that. We need to mix humanity with matrix. In my classroom, I use experiential learning, which means what we're doing is theoretical, that's great, but we're also going to go out to the street and try to apply it and see what happens. So learning by doing is really what I'm trying to bring into the classroom. I always tell them, we're going to tour the city, pay attention to absolutely everything, forget your preconceptions, take a picture of something that gives you a gut reaction. The first exercise they go into, they always walk around with me for an hour, and they have only 1 week to come back and intervene a place that made a gut reaction happen to them. And they have to do it together. So these are just some small installations, 10 minutes tops, and that's how they change space. Very simple. This was interesting. He was putting a native plant in a place that had none, because he observed that that was what's going on in that garden. And just playing games, asking for free hugs. And so at a bigger level, I also run a class called Creative Placemaking. And this one we partner with Lejoba, we partner with cities, DDAs, CRAs, depending who's involved. Celery has a project in West Palm Beach, and we did a rethinking of the alleyway. So this is what we had as a landscape. This is the canvas. Totally dirty, smelly, disgusting grease traps, cardboard everywhere. We had a couple of open community meetings, so what we do is we just do open forum. We express what we've done before, have certain categories that they can express what kind of projects they would like to see for a day. And then we pair them up with community people, we pair them up with students and have them actually do it. So we do our walking tour. In this case, it's like, forget about looking at the plan and a map. Let's go to the actual space and feel it. And here are just the numerous amounts of information of people just saying, oh, I want this, I want that, I want the other. We circle the ones that can be done. And we approach those. And this is a one-day demonstration. We power washed the place, cleaned it up. It created a new dialogue for the city. They've been talking about doing renovations of these alleyways. They're still in the talks, but this is just the beginning of awareness, which is needed. So again, pre-development, and you're right, ask for forgiveness. That comes first. So we painted a mural on the back of a really horrible building. Mayor came by and she's like, "Where's your permit?" And we're like, "It's coming soon." And that's how you have to deal with it. But it actually created a conversation to say, so, how worse can it be? This place is now clean and people actually dare walk through there. There was a murder that happened in that alleyway like 4 years ago. So it totally is about, can we erase that from our minds and actually make our own reality something more positive? Here are the students gathered, and we even brought music in. I mean, food, you name it, it was there. And what's most important with having the school involved, we have people that are counting. They're counting pedestrians, bicyclists, they're counting stationary activity. We're classifying that and creating actual data to understand how did we impact this place. So we had about 468 people on average in this day. That alley usually just gets about maybe whoever's working in the backside, throwing the trash out and then running out through the front door. So quite a big difference. I'm just gonna play a little movie. Sure. Hold on. Nope. It's not gonna happen. Sorry. So just to finish on current catalysts that we're working today, and trying to go from pilot projects to permanence. We have a street balcony program that's been running for 3 months now in West Palm Beach as well. They're also known as parklets. We worked at first as just, it's parking day. Let's try it out, see what happens. We occupied 5 spaces, now we're occupying 3 in different points of the city and measuring them as well. This is in front of Rocco's Tacos. As soon as that opened, and we do a whole level of things like marketing it, studying it, building it, designing it, getting permitting, etc. Understanding how we can deal with the rules and actually work within the rules. This was getting phone calls to Rocco saying, "I want to reserve a table on that parklet." And there was a list, and he was like, "What is going on? This is crazy. I didn't expect this to happen." That place is non-stop unless there's sun. We didn't put shading devices because we didn't have the economy to do it, but that's the only thing that stops people from sitting on that thing. We said, so let's try it up next to City Hall in front of Field of Greens, because that's a pretty empty area. Like after 4, it kind of dies down. Well, next door, they're opening till 9 p.m. and it's still being used, and it's interesting, they did their own thing there as well. And then we took one to Rendezvous, which is on the Turo Street that nobody walks to. This place has gone from nothing to that. And now people know, they go like, "Oh, I want to go there." And we added elements of art to it. Every time there's a little bit something going on to explore as well, how does art change that space? The alley that you see in the back actually has a little Bluetooth speaker, so you can get there, find it on your phone, and play your own music. So it's also an interactive piece that we added to this element. These are the 3 spots. So even though we did the artistic part, the building part, we also do the permitting part. We do the drawings. I mean, this is all the stuff to just get it through the engineers. And that is just another discussion. So beneath the surface, what's really important to take out of all of this is that the community engagement process does need a big overhaul. Mapping as a tool for communication is very important to understand that that's the opening key. We can plan, design, permit. We translate code for the general public as well. So sometimes we create toolkits so people understand how they can develop things in areas. We measure performance through the studies, especially with the analysis of people. We do economic analysis that's huge. If you're not making money, if it's not going to sustain itself for the future, what are we doing? Just building stuff, right? So in a way, it's like you have to have a long-term plan of understanding how are we going to build something that's going to keep generating more and more and more with, in my case, not necessarily pushing people out, but including them into that process. And grant writing is extremely important to get all of these things done. In terms of common sense urbanism, I agree, art it's the catalyst for urban change. It's one of the ways that anybody can express themselves, doesn't matter what language. Listening and learning from people is more important than educating them. So we kind of have to get a little humble on that. Going to the field, observing place, big key. Building relationships with absolutely everybody, even the homeless, are important when we're out in the street. And knowing that cities are about human beings. And just let your imagination fly. That's it.
Okay, and a key part of sustainability is eating food. How about that for a segue? So, are the box lunches
The box
next door?
lunches are in the kitchen. There is a list there that you have